And we are officially live. Guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Sam with Golovey Real Estate. Today, we're going to give you the top 5 reasons of why you should move to Rocklin. And of course, I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons of why you shouldn't live in Rocklin at the same time. So we're going to do a quick pros and cons. Make sure to stay tuned. We're going to go through right now. Hey everybody, welcome to Sacramento's Real Estate channel, where we talk everything there is to know about the brand new builds and of course, what there is to do here in Sacramento. If you've been thinking about making a move to the area, subscribe to the channel. And just so you know, we go live every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. We'll see you there. All right, well, you guys heard it for yourselves. We go live every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. So we're going to hop right into it. I'm going to give you the top pros and cons of living and moving to Rocklin, California. I myself was actually a Rocklin resident for quite some time. Even now, our office is based here out of Rocklin, California. And I got to tell you, it's honestly an amazing place to live. It's got a lot of things to offer. It's got a lot of food choices to offer. And it's pretty convenient as far as living here. Rocklin's definitely become more of a prestigious zip code, if I can say it that way, here in the area, especially north of Sacramento and along Highway 65 and 80. It's definitely a place where you can raise a family and not really worry about that. So that's actually the first pro, is that I would say Rocklin is a very safe place to raise a family. I wouldn't be worried about it. Most of the areas around here are pretty new and modernly developed. A lot of suburb communities with lots of parks and trails nearby. So that's the first thing, is that Rocklin is a safe place to raise a family, and it's got plenty in store for families as well. So that's the first thing. That's the first pro. Another thing is that, as I've mentioned, Rocklin also has a lot of parks and trails. With all these new communities kind of interconnected, I guess you could say, they're putting these kind of like different trails, bike trails and hike trails, even some just kind of free roaming nature trails without paved roads around in between communities. And it's really beautiful. I mean, especially in the springtime around here, there's a lot of places where you can just kind of go and take an evening stroll and not feel like you're in the city. So I'd say that's number 2 pro, is living in Rocklin, is that you have a lot of these access to bike trails and these kind of nature preserved little pockets outside of communities. Another pro is that the schools, I would say that Rocklin Unified School District is definitely one of the higher rated school districts in our area. And they've produced some really amazing schools. Now, as far as high schools go, the main 2 ones around here is Rocklin High School and Whitney High School. And I've actually been in the school system here in Rocklin, and I would say that the academia, if you could say it that way, is definitely higher than other areas around here. So no problems there. Plenty of options to choose from. And if you're ever interested in, what a school or a certain school rates for, you can always check out greatschools.org. Again, that's greatschools.org. And you can type in a school or a zip code or a city, and it's going to pump out the ratings and even some commentary from different people about certain schools. So you can rest assured that's the place you want to be or send your kids to. Okay. So that's another pro, is great schools, great school district, and more coming in, honestly. Even with the new development, there's a lot of new elementary schools being built in as well. Now, another pro is that, sorry, before I go on, I forgot to mention this, is that another school, major one to mention, is Sierra Community College. I actually went to Sierra before I got my bachelor's for just a short while. And Sierra is beautiful. It's a great community college. A lot of people around here go there before going to a 4-year. And so highly recommend Sierra Community College. And it's great just having it in Rocklin with quick access. So that's awesome as well. Highly rated school. So that's another pro. And then, of course, lots of newer development here in Rocklin. If you're thinking about buying a brand new build or want to be somewhere where it's newer, up and coming, Rocklin is definitely the place. It's gone through huge growth, I would say, probably in the last 10 to 20 years, just major growth, a lot of new development coming in. So there's definitely some options with new builds. And of course, you have kind of like the middle range here in Rocklin, but you also have the extremely higher end and luxury homes as well. Just not too far from my office, you have here Skyline, which if you guys have seen that video, I have it linked down below, is homes starting around 1.4, 1.5 million and up. So you definitely have the luxury market, and then you have a lot more affordable market. Now, Rocklin, I'll bring it up here just so you guys kind of have an idea of the map. You could see here that it's kind of tucked between, if you look at the top right, it's Loomis. Then to the right, you have Granite Bay. Of course, Folsom Lake there on the bottom right. And then kind of under and to the west of Rocklin, you have Roseville around there. And then, of course, north of it, you have Lincoln. So Rocklin, you can see here, it's kind of tucked between the Highway 80 and Highway 65 corridor. So it makes it really convenient, especially if you're a commuter or want to have quick access to different areas. I would say Rocklin is awesome for that. Now, one thing to consider is it really depends what community you're in. Sometimes if you're really tucked in between the two highways, it may take you a good 10 minutes just to get to the highway. So keep that in mind. But as you can see here, it's tucked pretty nicely amongst some major cities, I would say, for this area, especially being next to Roseville. If people are shopping in this area, typically the top contenders are Rocklin, Roseville, Lincoln, and maybe Loomis if they like more rural properties. So that's kind of I call it like the Tri-Cities, really. Roseville, Rocklin, and Lincoln, is that people are kind of, typically fixated on those three areas if they're going to be purchasing really in this part of Sacramento. So you have some options. Rocklin, I would say, is an amazing place to live just based on what I've told you. I mean, great place to raise a family. Now let's get into the cons, because really this is what you guys are interested in. You want to know the bad stuff about moving into an area, right? So the first con is this, a buildup of traffic. If you saw those two highways kind of split off almost like a Y, there has been tremendous buildup of traffic, especially along Highway 65. It's only 2 lanes on each side of the freeway, so it gets pretty jam-packed. And there's been a lot of development going on even north of Rocklin. So a lot of that corridor gets jam-packed as Highway 65 runs into Highway 80. So that definitely happens, especially in the evenings during traffic hour, of course. That can get a little annoying. So, if you can avoid that, awesome, or take back roads, great. But that's definitely one thing that's been just getting worse and worse. So that's the first con, I would say, traffic in that area. Number 2 is this. You still have newer and older Rocklin. So there's still older, or some people might call it historic Rocklin, where there's still kind of like a little area where there's a lot of older homes and stuff. And generally through this area, and actually there's an industrial zone right next to it, is that there is train tracks running through. And so just depending on where you end up in Rocklin, even maybe in a newer development, those train tracks or that train can still be heard depending on where you're at. So that's something I'd consider if I was going to be buying a house around here. If that bothers you or it doesn't, for some people, they actually prefer to have kind of background noise once in a while and puts them to sleep. They're used to it. But other people absolutely can't stand it. So when you are looking to purchase a home here, make sure you are listening for that. And of course, that will be in the disclosures on a property. So make sure you talk to your agent when you are purchasing a home and get an idea of what's going on around there. All right. Another thing is this, kind of like I mentioned, this is another con. This would be number 3, industrial zones around here. Now, it's great for businesses. It's great for a lot of people around here because, it's kind of bringing in a lot of small and medium-sized businesses. But there's some newer developments not too far from here. You may have seen some of our videos. I've linked Black Pine down below, where they have these affordable homes in the 500s, in the low 600s, brand new, but they're tucked right next to these industrial zones and these manufacturing zones. And of course, the train is running nearby over there. Can get kind of much. So if that bothers you, maybe not the best place to purchase, but the value as far as, living in Rocklin is there. And of course, it's brand new. So that's another thing I would consider, some industrial zoning here in older parts of Rocklin. And this is a big con. This is the next con right here, PG&E pricing. So Rocklin, notorious for PG&E. Of course, people have been hearing rates are going up like crazy. So when people, as I was talking about earlier, are comparing whether they want to live in Rocklin, Roseville, or Lincoln, they might consider Roseville because Roseville has its own electric company and it's substantially cheaper. Substantially cheaper. I was just talking to a friend, David. He might be watching right now, but he was like, I was like, "What's one thing you hate about Rocklin?" He's like, "Absolutely hate PG&E," and that's not a push down on the company, but the rates have gone extremely expensive, and so that's definitely a complaint I've been hearing. So utility bills are definitely higher, and of course, depends on your home efficiency, all of that. I get that, but that's just something I would consider. Okay. And then what I would say is this: the last con is most of the shopping for Rockland, even though there are new like shopping centers opening up, a lot of new kind of exciting places. We have Bass Pro Shops here, which a lot of people like because there's not too many around, and there's different, little shopping centers being built out. But for the most part, the majority of the shopping happens in the Westfield area or Westfield at Galleria Mall. And so that's actually in Roseville. So the joke is that if you're going to be doing any shopping or anything like that, you're not going to be in Rockland. You'll end up probably going to Roseville, which is right next door. Honestly, depending where you live in Rockland, I mean, it's just a skip over. It's not that big of a deal. But for other people, it's one of those things that I would consider if you like to be really close next to these bigger shopping centers, next to the mall, next to Costco, things like that, kind of the main events. So those are the pros and cons right there. Now, I will talk about some of the pricing too, and I guess this would kind of be a con. And as I've mentioned, that Rockland is kind of becoming more of a prestigious area, and with that, there's a higher price tag to pay. So I just pulled up some stats off the MLS this morning just to give you guys an accurate number of what's been going on. So as of last month here in Rockland, the average sold price was $739K. So that's the average sold price, $739K as of last month. And the median sold price was $670,000. Okay. So you see a little bit of a difference there between the median and average. But I would say to be kind of shopping actively in the Rockland area, I would say have a budget basically in the 700s and up at this point. Unless you are looking for some of the smaller new builds around here, there are still quite a few in this lower 600s. So I can help you out with that. You'll see the links down below. You can contact me at any time if you have some questions about those. I'd be happy to inform you on that. So those are the things too, is that the prices have kind of definitely gone up. I mean, comparatively to Roseville, you have a little bit more options with price fluctuation, but Rockland definitely has kind of took the premier pricing lately, if I could say it that way, really. So I also want to just jump into some of the things to do here in Rockland. Like if you were going to move here, what are some things to do? How can you entertain the family, and kind of what can you get into? And I see I got some new comments down below. I got David hopping on. Thanks for joining. He said the new Trader Joe's built there. Oh, that's awesome. Nice. And he said that place is popping. And then, of course, you got Steve Ponzo on. Steve is an awesome lender here in the Roseville, Rockland area. If you guys are ever looking into getting a home loan or getting a refinance done, Steve is an awesome guy. You could check him out. Just look him up. I'm sure you'll find him somewhere, or you can contact me. I'd be happy to share his info. Thanks for joining, Steve. So I want to talk about some of the things to do. And of course, I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of trails, nature preserved areas around here, which I absolutely love. But another cool thing that you might be interested in seeing is the Rocklin Quarry Park Adventures. So I believe it's the city of Rocklin opened up the Quarry Park Adventures, and they took like this old, basically rock mining spot. I think it was a granite mining spot, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just like a huge crevice, and they decided to fill it in with zip lines, all sorts of structures that you can swing from one end to the other. And there's like a huge pond down in the center. And I've actually done a video there. I've been there, and we did a little promo for their business over there. It's not on this channel, but it is on my Instagram at Sam Golovey. So you'll see it down there, Rocklin Quarry Park Adventures. It's a pretty crazy wild ride there. And I would highly recommend, if you're just looking to get into some adventure, or you have some kids that are very active and want some kind of excitement on a weekend, highly recommend them. They'll take care of you. I had a great experience there. There's also a park that backs up to it. So if you guys want to grab a lunch and it's with a beautiful scenery, I would highly recommend Rocklin Quarry Park or Quarry Park Adventures. It's right here in Old Rocklin. I mean, literally 10 minutes, not even from my office. basically in central Rocklin. So I would highly check them out. Another cool thing is I would check out Top Golf. So Top Golf's a huge attraction. Even if you're not the best golfer like me, I'm a terrible golfer, but I still love to go and get out with people, with clients out there. So I check out Top Golf any day of the week. Really, you kind of have these elevated levels where any newbie golfer can still have a good time, get some food and drinks as well. I had someone bring down a comment right here. I want to go there after going to one of your open houses, please. Absolutely. We can go anytime. So I know the marketing manager there. I think she'll take care of us. So yeah, it was Quarry Park Adventures. David, you're right. And I did a video there. I should know better. I should know better. But honestly, I'm giving them some free marketing right now. So you guys should check them out. Okay. So you got Quarry Park Adventures, you got Top Golf. Another cool thing about Rocklin, as I've mentioned, you have access to these two kind of main highways, or these two arteries in the area. And with that, if you go up Highway 80, basically going east, you can get into North Lake Tahoe in about an hour and a half without traffic. So in an hour and a half, you can be literally in North Lake Tahoe, which in my opinion is way better than South Lake Tahoe. Someone is definitely going to give me a negative comment based on that. But I love North Lake Tahoe. Definitely a great place to spend the day there. You can also just hang out in the El Dorado National Forest, which is going to be about an hour drive as well. So if you just want to be kind of in nature, go camping, do some off-roading or something like that, I mean, just an hour, hour and a half, and you're basically out of town. Another cool thing to do is a lot of people just end up, just for a couple-hour trip, they end up going to Auburn. I mean, just to skip up Highway 80, it's a good 20 minutes. Maybe 30 minutes with traffic. And there's Old Town Auburn over there. A lot of people love to get coffee. Check out the Pour Choice. We also did a promo for them. They're amazing. Love the Pour Choice. If you want to grab a bite or have an amazing cup of coffee, good place to hang out. Someone is writing me that Westlake is better in Tahoe. I don't know. What do you guys think? You can drop it in the comments whether you think it's better or not. I personally love Lake Tahoe. We've even sold some properties over there. So if you guys are ever interested in moving in that area or want to get connected with someone out there, definitely can do that. So these are just kind of some pros and cons as far as living in Rocklin. If you guys are ever thinking about moving into the area, you can reach out to me and my team down below. As I've mentioned, we are the real estate brokerage here in Rocklin, California, and we do a lot of new development. So if you're thinking about getting a new development home, there's definitely a lot of options. I mean, even from the 600s up to $1 million, $1.5 million, a lot of options here. And I've linked some of those home tours down below just to kind of give you an idea. If you ever want my opinion or want to tell me about kind of the lifestyle or what you're looking for or what fees, as far as like HOA or Melrose you might want to avoid, what your budget is, you can always reach out to me and my team, and I'd be happy to give that information to you and kind of give you my opinion on the best buys in the area. Someone wrote, also lots of biking and hiking trails near Rocklin. Absolutely. And that's honestly one of my favorite parts. I mean, after work, sometimes I don't even want to go to the gym. I just want to go for a quick jog, and just kind of de-stress. And I love that Rocklin really provides that, especially here right outside older Rocklin. There's some communities right outside of Whitney that have been, it was actually an old retired golf course, and it was behind this older neighborhood. And it kind of died out for a while. No one was really doing anything. And I believe the city came in and they just revamped it. Now it's got these beautiful trails, bunch of natural ponds. You might see some ducks and geese out there just trailing along, and a lot of families just walking through, kind of enjoying the sunsets behind these neighborhoods. It's really amazing. And of course, we have golf courses here as well. So you can't go wrong with Rocklin, in my opinion. And so if you guys ever are thinking about moving into Rocklin, let me know. Guys, I'm very thankful that you've joined me on this live. Just so you know, we go live every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. This week, we covered the pros and cons of living in Rocklin. But if you ever have a topic that you'd like us to discuss or a city that you're looking to move into, let us know in the comments down below. I'd be happy to do a video or inform you any way that I can. Once again, my name is Sam with Golovey Real Estate. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next week.